So a lot of the reference points we talk about a lot, you see the elbow and the butt of the club point very level to the ground over here.
Yeah.
Glove logo up towards the sky. And then when we do the good version, now because of the arm positioning, that elbow's like towards us, right? I think when you guys try that one time, they're gonna feel such a huge difference in how that arm works.
In our in-person coaching sessions and online, we see so many players with a slew of backswing errors, and they might start to try and rectify these issues by starting off by Googling or YouTube searching as like how to fix an inside takeaway.
Yes.
But we know that can happen for a variety of reasons. And there is also numerous drills to fix, maybe club head behind the hands, lead arm separation, flat shoulder turn. But what I've found is a variation of a very common drill in regards to the split grip, of where we make a slight adjustment to this lead arm and the positioning of that on the golf club, tends to solve a lot of those issues, and also just gives a real good awareness of connection and sequence in the backswing as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Let's-
So when I set up to the ball here, if I'm in my normal setup position, we see a lot of players that would do this split grip drill here, right? Now straight away, that creates some awareness of structure of the arms in front of the chest, and all things being equal, is going to help us get ourselves into a position where that may be a relatively functional backswing, hands in front of the chest. But we see a lot of players that when they do this, well, then they might get a little bit sloppy and start to do this one here. Big separation between that lead arm and the chest, shoulder plane gets flat. And as we know that when players are doing drills or exercises, they might be very intentional and conscious of what they're doing in the first couple of reps, and then before you know it's like over here,
It gets sloppy.
Yeah, it gets sloppy.
Now, do you still like that? Because we've both done stuff on that, right?
Yeah,
And
correct.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Do you still like that as a general structure drill?
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, maybe let's get the details a little bit better.
Yeah, I think I really like this drill here for understanding like correct load and hinge of the wrists on the golf club as you swing back. I think that works really well.
Yeah.
But my preference when we're kind of talking about a player that has a bit of a drill that they can follow no matter why that golf club is swinging from the inside, has got a lot more to do with like the positioning of this arm here.
Yeah.
Right? So great drill, but if I was talking more about you don't know what sort of issue that you have, but the club's moving well behind you, this is the one that I would use.
Okay, got it, perfect.
So setting up here, instead of just doing this normal split grip drill with the hands in front of my shoulders, what I would then tend to do is I'd take this left hand and then I would move it to the inside so our thumbs are opposing as such.
Okay.
Now, a couple of things that this really assists me in doing. Number one would be that you can see that a lot of players, when they set up, they would tend to have a degree of internal rotation in this lead arm,
Yeah.
which can lead to some of those backswing issues. So if I'm setting up into this position and then I, with my lead hand, turn it open so the thumb is opposing, well, that naturally encourages some external rotation of this lead arm here. Now, from there, as I swing back, I'm actually a lot more aware of this sort of pressure point underneath that lead arm and the chest there.
Like bicep to pec type deal? Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely, which we know is very important for keeping the arms relatively in front of the chest as I then pivot back.
I like that a lot, dude.
Yeah, so as we see this, now I'm in this position here, it's much more obtainable to get this sensation that the track of the club is moving, if we were to draw an extension from the end of the grip here, on the inside of that ball line by the time that lead arm is parallel.
Like inside that club back there.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you're just imagining almost like a laser beam shooting out the end of it, just on the inside, and then all I would do is simply just put that hand back into that position here.
Yeah. And then if we do the bad, like let's do the, I don't want to say the bad version, but the other way with the hand, the opposite way.
Yeah.
You could demonstrate that one.
So I'm here.
Because this dude, like and I see this for a lot of you guys that we work with too, when we do this drill, I see that thing you mentioned a lot. Like, yeah, if you do the bad one where it gets like too flat, club inside. So a lot of the reference points we talk about a lot, you see the elbow and the butt of the club point very level to the ground over here.
Yeah.
Glove logo up towards the sky. And then let's do the good one with the flipped version. And then when we do the good version, now because of the arm positioning, that elbow's like towards us, right?
Yeah, massively.
And that changes that whole lead arm position. I think when you guys try that one time, they're gonna feel such a huge difference in how that arm works. And the shoulder tilt goes right along with it, doesn't it? When
Correct.
you do it the good versus the bad.
Correct, because I would say intuitively, when a lot of players, let's say they do the split grip drill and they position the club into the right hand here for the right hander, is they will always pretty much every single time get this internal rotation of this lead arm.
Yep.
And then that just encourages this little bit of movement across the body, and before we know it, there is really no benefit to that drill whatsoever.
Yeah.
You're just ingraining a bad habit, right? So
It's like you get one thing maybe right with the arm structure,
Yeah.
but then you lost, you know, 2 or 3 of the other piece type deal.
yeah, and when players are working on their golf swing online and they don't have the watchful eye of a coach underneath them, it's very important that they're, let's say, doing a drill where it's hard to get wrong,
Great point.
right? So
great point.
setting up here, I would like to see that this shifts into this position here, hands in front of the chest, and then get the feeling that the inside of the elbow, so the elbow crease and the palm is facing up towards this camera,
Yeah.
then pivoting the body, feeling simply just that the end of this golf club is pointing more inside the ball line. From there, I'd switch my hands back on, just being mindful that this is not going out like that. So we're still maintaining this pressure point, 2 hands on, and then just making a few small follow-through swings from there.
I think that's so good. If you don't mind, let's flip spots there. That drill, I think for a lot of people is going to be an eye opener, sort of light bulb for the feels. And so if let me just do 1 or 2 of these here. So thumbs opposing, and then same sort of deal with this, my trail hand just kind of a little bit down from the end of the grip type thing.
Yeah, what I would say is always get set up into your normal address position first, because we see a lot of players, they would start doing a drill like this from like a standing up position. So then when they're trying to then manipulate the shaft or move it,
Okay.
then they've got the reference
I'm out of place
inside
there.
that, but then they're
Okay.
out of place. So normal golf posture like this, fantastic. And then do split grip drill, keeping your hands in front. And then exactly, if you do that once more for me, as soon as you went into this position, you see Eric's elbow is kind of pointing down towards the target, just from him placing this hand in a position where the palm is facing more towards this camera, it naturally started to rotate this into an external orientation. So do that for me.
That feels like I definitely want to go
Correct.
that way. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And without getting technical, there's a very key pressure point underneath this lead armpit and the chest, which helps us keep a sequence golf swing, that when Eric then flips his hand from the other orientation there, you're going to start to feel a little bit more pressure there as well.
Noticeably different. Yeah.
correct.
So that like bicep or upper arm to pec sort of thing you talked about.
Perfect.
Okay.
Now, from there, as you then pivot back, let's do that once more. From where Eric's hands are staying relatively in front of his shoulders at address, by the time he gets back to this section of his swing, you can see it's very much the same. Now, you are going to feel distinctly quite a bit of a stretch underneath here in regards to that elbow crease facing more up towards the sky rather than the opposing of it pointing over in that direction there. Then if you do that once more and then exactly. Yeah. You
okay.
see how easy it is to get that and then
Very
lose
easy.
that.
Left
sort of
shoulder
pressure.
high, no side bend versus the tilt.
Correct.
All right, let me do a couple hits here to feel that same sort of thing. So if I take that sensation here, feel the butt of the club kind of inside that ball line, I do feel like my left bicep kind of pressed a little closer to my pec, and I feel a little bit of like a left oblique crunch. Those are sort of the sensations I get.
I would say this is a great drill for also increasing that left side bend as you get back, because it encourages that tilt of the shoulders, using that as a reference, yeah.
And that feels like I'm able to replicate that same sort of thing. I'm gonna hit one here and try and replicate that same sort of feel when I go back.
Yeah, beautiful.
That felt good.
And just through mapping out those first couple of swings there, Eric, just slow and intentional, being very aware of the feeling from that connection, the elbow crease facing out, the palm facing out, as you swing back and then putting 2 hands on, just trying to reestablish that same sensation that you created from doing the drill.
Feels a little bit to me when I'm doing that too. I feel a little bit of the crunch. I feel this left arm is not so far away from my body, like you mentioned. The butt of the club's inside that line. It also feels like as I'm doing the crunch, almost like my lefty, it's like I have a little more neck tilt as well.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I get a couple of pieces in there for free. For someone like me, dude, who goes definitely this way,
Yeah.
you know, it feels more that just to get to neutral, which I think a lot of people will resonate with.
Yeah, and definitely if to some degree, if the club head is moving behind the hands in the backswing, players are going to have elements of flat shoulder turn, disconnection between the lead arm and the
I
torso.
really like that, dude.
So,
I mean,
big
honestly,
combo drill.
honestly, now that I've seen it, I'm gonna hit one more. Honestly, now that I've done that, I don't know that I'm gonna recommend, let me see if I can replicate that. I don't know that I'm gonna recommend that other version. Like, I don't know that I see, because I would do this for a lot of players to feel like the pushing away, like trail arm width.
Yeah.
I still like that for some things like that. But I could get all that for free here too. Like I could use this for all of those same pieces. And especially, you know, this kind of the point is get rid of this club inside flat here for sure. Keep the connection. But it almost like, I feel like I'm getting a whole bunch of stuff for free here.
Yeah, and what I really like about this drill as well, sure, this might not be the complete backswing, but a commonality that you see with all the best players in the world with that they have a relatively big body turn compared to their arm swing. Recreational golfers tend to have a very long arm swing and a short body turn.